There were two kids that had behaved well all year round, and both of them had done their homework. They cleaned their rooms, they helped with chores, and then Christmas time came. Around Christmas time, they were excited. They went to bed early. They left the cookies for Santa. They left the milk, and very quickly they went to sleep. Early in the morning, if you've been in this situation, they woke up earlier than their parents, to go wake them up and say, "Mom, Dad, let's go open some presents." And what ended up happening is, as they were going down the steps, they noticed that the tree, like underneath the tree, is kind of empty. And the boys start kind of freaking out a little bit. And one of the kids looks and he says, "Mom, where are my gifts? Dad, where are my gifts? I behaved well all year round. I did my homework. I did my chores. I showed up. What's happening? This isn't fair. Santa must hate me." And then when they went even further down the steps, they got to the tree. What they noticed underneath the tree was a big pile of poop, okay? And what happens is the kid, he turns to his mom and says, "Santa hates me, you hate me, you don't love me, what's going on?" And the other boy turns to mom and says, "Mom, where's my pony?" So I shared that story with you guys because you can look at life one of two ways. There's two lenses, right? There's a lens of opportunity and there's a lens of where everything is out of control. We don't have absolutely anything going for us. Today, what I want to share with you guys is a little bit about what we've been able to accomplish with this human being that quite honestly re-energized my entire business. Her name is Hermela Balcha. And you guys can go ahead and scan this QR code and I'll send you over the case study. So what ended up happening is about 5 years ago, I remember when I started my business 5 years ago, I started with the whole notion of we're going to create social media content, we're going to create video, and we're going to distribute this content for our social media, for our clients, real estate agents, loan officers. At the time, we didn't know that we were even going to be in the industry, but my mom had been going through a divorce at the time. And I asked her, I said, "How are we going to keep the house that we grew up in?" And she very quickly said, "I don't know, son." So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out there. I'm starting my own business, Mom. I'm going to work for free for a realtor or a lender. I'm going to figure this stuff out. I'll get you answers. I've been a problem solver my whole life. And in that process, what I realized and what I learned is that there was one thing that was lacking online from real estate agents, from loan officers, and that was education, information, and consistency. Throughout that process, as we started building out our clients, we would help them with social media, we would help them with videos. And very quickly, there were people that we were posting 5 times, 10 times, 30 times a week. And they would ask me like, "Okay, I look good on social, I look good online, but where are my leads?" Okay, anyone ever feel that way? Like they've been posting on social and they're like, "Where are my leads? Where's my business?" So I said, don't worry, we're posting it, we're consistent with it, we're building the reciprocity. Have more people reached out? Yes. My sphere of influence has reached out, but no one's converting yet. I'm like, okay, but people are reaching out. Yes, they are converting. They're talking to me, but they're not necessarily converting. And I said, okay, no worries. I decided to do is I looked back in my career. So I've been in marketing over the past 14 years. I got out of a job where I was at for 3 years, managing a book of advertising dollars of about $5 million. And I said, let's just go ahead and start generating leads for these guys. We're going to generate leads because we're creating video, we're creating social media content, and we're going to advertise it now so that we can go ahead and legitimately get them leads, get them interested, engaged leads, buyer leads, seller leads, whatever the case might be. And as we started doing this, the next rebuttal, the next objection, or the next obstacle, the next challenge that we faced as a business was our agents would say, "Guys, I'm getting leads, I look good on social media, but these leads are not calling me, man. They're not converting at all." And so we would ask, we'd be like, "Jason, how many times are you calling them?" "Oh, well, they should call me." Okay, first red flag for me. And I said, "Have you tried calling them?" "Yeah, I called them once." And I said, "Cool." And then I talked to the next agent and he's like, "Yeah, I called them twice." "Cool." And then I talked to the next agent. They're like, "Yeah, I'm calling them." And I said, "What's the actual issue? Like, what's preventing us from really doing this? Are you emailing them? Are you texting them? How are you nurturing them? Are you retargeting them?" And they're like, "No, I don't do any of that stuff. I have a CRM. I don't take full advantage of it." Anyone feel that way? Yeah? Okay, so I said, okay, interesting. So that's the next challenge. That's the next bottleneck in business. The way I look at marketing in my business is there's brand authority, which is how many people know us, like us, trust us, right? There's lead generation. What do we offer of value so that somebody wants to give us their name, their email, their phone number, their address, and whatever other information that we have or that we want. And then there's conversion, which is how are we going to stay in front of them for an extended period of time. I was burning out, guys. I promise you I was burning out. This is like now late 2022 going into 2023. And then Hermela comes to me and she says, "Michael, I really want to work with you." And I said, "Why?" And she's like, "Because you've coached me on video, you've helped me get leads in the past, but I really want to work with you because I believe that you're going to be the person that's going to help me elevate my business." I said, "I appreciate that sentiment, like really good for my ego," right? I was like, "Thank you so much." And I said, "I won't do this unless you're willing to be held accountable, you're willing to be coachable, and most importantly, you allow me to truly support you. And that sometimes is going to not feel comfortable, because if anyone here has ever hired a trainer, it doesn't feel good when they tell you one more, right? And so what we started doing is we started implementing what we call now the top producer operating system. We sat down with Hermela and we identified who her 5-star prospects are. 5-star prospects are, let me just clarify that really quick for everybody. Think of the person that you absolutely would never want to work with again, okay? It's very clear, right? Everybody just smiled, so it's very clear. Now think of the opposite of that. That's your 5-star prospect, okay? So we laid that out for her. And she said to me, okay, I want to create content in English. I want to create content in Amharic. She's from Ethiopia. And I said, why do you want to create content for everybody? And she said, well, because that's what the industry teaches me. The industry is teaching me that I need to do video, that I need to do social media, that I need to enroll into the next course. And I said, okay, cool. How about we take a look at who's actually been working with you, who's actually been buying from you over the past 2 years? She says, okay. We look at her database. 85% of her database were Ethiopian people. And I said, well, that's your base, that's your community, that's your niche, right? So we decided to say, what do you want to do? Do you want to help them buy? Do you want to help them sell? She said, the majority of them are buyers. I said, do they turn into sellers eventually? She said, yes. They also become investors. I said, cool. Let's go ahead and create 10 videos that we can go ahead and put in front of them at scale by putting some advertising dollars behind them. And in that process, not only did she start growing her brand within the Ethiopian community, but also she started generating the leads. And once we started generating the leads, what ended up happening is she would get them and she says, what do I do? I said, we'll email them, we'll text them on your behalf, but I need you to call them 6 times a day. And she said, 6 times? Isn't that bothersome? And I said, yes. And it's bothersome to you, not even them, because we want to get to the no as fast as possible in order to get to the yeses even faster. She started doing that, and in the process, in 2023, she grew her business 235%. She ended at over 40 transactions. So far this year, as of June this year, she has already gotten to over 30 transactions. What I recommend as I go through this is I'm going to have one of 2 ways that I'm going to take this training with you guys, because I have a limited amount of time. Do you guys want to learn about how to systematize the predictable inside of your business so that you guys can have a better experience in your marketing? Just raise your hand and I'll go either way. So if you want to learn a little bit more about marketing systems, just raise your hand for me. Okay, a couple of hands, cool. Anybody with the video? Anybody more interested in the video? Ooh, that's like a 60-40 split. Okay, 60-40, next one, right? Now we got a next topic. I'm going to bring in my crafted little whiteboard. And if I have enough time, I'm also going to speak about some of these video frameworks that I use every single day. It's not, creating video is only hard when you think about what's in it for you and you don't think about what's in it for them. The reason why videos work for Hermela and why she gets so many leads off of her videos is because she only thinks about what's in it for them. She does not like the way that she sounds on video. She doesn't like the way she looks on video, but she puts it out there in hopes that somebody gets a little nugget that they can come back to her for and say, you know what, you taught me that. When we take a look at social media, when we take a look at the marketing landscape, what we take a look at is the world of traffic, okay? In your guys' cases, like I was talking to Drew earlier, he gets his traffic off of open houses, right? Anybody here do open houses? Yeah? Okay. You also get traffic from referrals. Whose business primarily runs on referrals, right? Okay. You also have things like your SOI, you have expireds, you have all of these things, right? I could go down this list. All of those are traffic channels. The problem is that most vendors, most people sell you these traffic channels individually, and then you end up figuring out, what do I do with this traffic? What do I do with these things? These are all lead sources. So what I did with Hermela is we took a look at all of these traffic sources, and we said, let's add video. Let's use social media as a channel, and we're going to run ads in a way that helps us connect all of this. So now we have traffic. We have all the ways that we're going to be able to generate more brand awareness and more brand authority, right? I want you to think of every single lead gen channel that you currently have. Just tie that in to the fact that all that does is it helps you build brand. Anyone here send postcards on a regular basis? If you do send postcards, that's just brand, right? Why do you send it every single month? Because it builds brand. At some point in time, people are not going to receive your postcard, and they might call you like, hey, Jackie, I didn't receive your postcard last month. It happens, right? So when we have traffic, what we need to do next is identify, how am I going to get people to engage with me in order to really become a high quality lead? What's a high quality lead? Remember I asked earlier, think of your worst client and think of your best clients. Your best clients were probably open and willing to listen to you, take your advice, allow you to be the expert, and most importantly, they had a plan and they wanted to execute it with you, right? So when we think about that, the next step here is for us to create an offer of value. So what happens out there? We're all haphazardly creating social media content to some capacity. We're putting it out there because we need to reach more people, we need to be more consistent, we need to be more frequent, and it's the cool thing to do. It's the one thing that allows us to speak one to many. But what if we said, what's in it for them? If somebody engages with my video, if somebody engages with my social media post, they have to get something of value to reach out to me, kind of like the person that reached out to you. They probably saw something that captured their attention that was valuable, and then they said, hey, I like what you just said. Let's talk about it, right? What we take a look at here is what can we offer them of value? In your guys' case, how many realtors do we have in the class? Cool. Loan officers, title agents, cool. All right, so what we want to offer them is some sort of lead magnet. Has anyone heard of a lead magnet before? Yeah? So what a lead magnet is something that's going to get them to raise their hand willingly for you. Kind of like this QR code. By you scanning this, you get access to the case study that walks through this entire process. That is a lead magnet, right? So you create a lead magnet. And how easy is it to go on Google? How easy is it to go on ChatGPT? We're using ChatGPT already, right? Cool. If you're not, use it. Don't get used by AI. Learn to use it. You go to ChatGPT, you go to Google, you look up top 10 things that a buyer needs to know, top 10 things that a seller needs to know, how to buy a house with no money down. Any of the situations that you think about for your 5-star prospects. And then you create yourself a nice little lead magnet. You create a lead magnet to attract buyers, to attract sellers. That's what we did with Hermela. We created a lead magnet for first-time buyers. We created a lead magnet for first-time sellers. And then we put some advertising dollars behind it, okay? By spending $10 a day, now she's at like $25 a day. We started spending $10 a day. So remember those 10 videos I talked about earlier? So those 10 videos, they were all with the one framework that we use for all of our ads, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. It is, who are you talking to? So if you're a homeowner in Northern Virginia, listen up. That is your who. What are you showing them? Through the past couple of weeks, through the past couple of years, interest rates have climbed, and that's the reason why you don't want to sell your home. How can they take action? And you might be considering selling your home now, so I've actually outlined an entire step-by-step process on how you could sell your home for top dollar, right? Or however you guys want to phrase that. You guys know that better than I do. So we have who, you're calling them out. You have what are you showing them? How are you going to teach them? And why? This is the important part. Why are you showing them that? Because they may be thinking about it. How many people do you talk to that's like, I've been thinking about buying a house. I've been thinking about selling my house. It's all the time. It's not a decision that just happens overnight unless life happens to them, right? So then you ask the who, you ask the what, you ask the how, you give them the why, and you let them know. You simply click the Learn More button to download my home seller's guide, my home buyer's guide, your lead magnet, okay? So that's when we capture leads. That is going to give you predictable results in terms of lead generation. That is you not having to play the organic game, which you can, and you should. You should play the organic game. And whenever something works organically, like your post, you should repost that and reuse that and throw some advertising dollars behind it because it means that it captured attention, okay? So now that we have this and we've identified what we're going to offer people, then you can go ahead and say, out of my 10 videos, these 4 have gotten me the most amount of leads. One of them was how to sell my house and buy a house at the same time. The other one was how to quick fixes I can make around my house. Let's say those 2, right? I can't think of 2 others. You take those 2. If that's what's getting you the most downloads, the most leads, why would you create content about something else? Like, why not double down on the stuff that's already working for us? Why not double down on the things that people are saying, hey, Jason, I'm interested in that stuff. Give me more of that, please, right? Because our job in lead generation and in marketing is to drop the skepticism and increase the trust, okay? So now we have a good way of knowing exactly what gets the attention. And what happens once we get the attention, once we get the leads? All of this stuff needs to go somewhere, right? So where do they typically go once you generate the lead? They go into your, if you're like Hermela, It used to go into her cell phone. It used to go into WhatsApp. It used to go into Messenger. It used to go into a spreadsheet that she never uses. So then we said, hey, you should probably use a CRM. She said, I hate CRMs. I said, it's okay. I'll teach you how to use it. So then we get it into a CRM, right? And then I've been studying top teams across the country for the past 5 years. Part of the reason why is because I had to fix my own problems, right? If I just wanted to be a social media company, I would have picked up my shoes and let go. The reason why is because my mentor, Dean Jackson, taught me you have to want the result more for your clients than they want it for themselves. So for me to just stop by recording a video and posting it on social was a disservice to you guys. So I said, cool, we'll get her a CRM. In this process, I said, we need to think about what kind of emails we're going to send people. So we do a 9-word email. How many of you are sending emails to your clients right now, to your leads, your engaged leads? How often are we asking for the business inside of those emails? And I mean, you might have a really cool, those templated emails that look really nice and pretty, those property lists, right? But how often are we just saying, hey, Caesar, are you still looking to sell your house? We need to think about that. We're not saying, hey, how are you? Hope all is well. I hope your pets are doing fine. No. How quickly can we get to the yes or no? Remember that, right? So what we do is we create a 9-word email, and then we create a flagship email. Anybody here have Google reviews or Zillow reviews or things like that? Cool. You go to those Google reviews, you go to those Zillow reviews, you copy and paste them into this platform called ChatGPT, and you say, this is the story behind this review. I want you to write me 4 variations of this one review so that I can share a story via email. So when you're telling people, this is how I helped Jason go from A to B to Z, would you want to find out how we can take you from A to B all the way through Z? We're leveraging case studies, right? I'm leveraging a case study right in front of you guys. So then what happens is, cool, now we have a 9-word email, now we have a flagship email. Now we need to be able to send them a text message, because text messages still to this day have almost 100% open rate. When was the last time that you texted one of your clients, those clients that ghosted you? Anyone dealing with anyone that's ghosting you? Yeah? Okay. I dare you to send a challenge, not even dare you, I challenge you to send them a text message that says, hey, Jack, are you still looking to buy a house this year? Leave it there. It works. So when we send these text messages, now we have what? We have videos that are generating us leads. We have an offer that's telling us, hey, I'm interested in your buyer's guide. I'm interested in your seller's guide. Is it much easier to get in contact with those leads at that point, right? They're telling you what they're interested in. So if I download your home seller's guide, what am I saying? I'm considering selling. So when I pick up the phone and I say, hey, Candace, I just sent you my home seller's guide. Typically when I share this with people, it's because they're considering selling their house at some point in the future. Does that sound like you? I didn't give her a timeline. I didn't accuse her of signing up for my Facebook ad or my Instagram ad. I simply asked the question. I said, I sent you this of value. Here you go. I led with the giving hand. And now I'm just curious, what's your timeline like? Are you considering at some point in the future? And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Okay, so what are you thinking about? That's where your expertise comes in. That's where you start closing them. You see, what happens is most people mistake activity for progress when it comes to social media marketing and their marketing in general. But my goal here with you guys today is to kind of get a framework and an understanding of exactly how can I go ahead and do this predictably so that I'm not wasting time and money on manual marketing activities. Because marketing is what we do in order to get in front of a customer. Sales is what we do once we're in front of them, right? So once we have the CRM running, the emails, the text messaging, what's the next step? Has anyone here ever been shopping online and they're looking at some products, Amazon, or you're even talking about it? You're talking, I need new shoes, I need new microphones, I need new something, right? And then you log into Facebook, you log into Instagram, you log into TikTok, and the product is in your face. That's called retargeting. That's called programmatic retargeting. So now when you, my friends, have made an offer to people and they downloaded your seller's guide or your buyer's guide, can you now create more video content organically on social media that you can quote unquote boost? I don't recommend boosting, but you can put $1 behind it. Like with Hermela, we put $1 behind 10 videos. We're spending 1 penny per video per day, right? And so we're just retargeting. We're retargeting her database. We're staying in front of them 21 times visibly through social media per week. We're emailing them twice per month. We're text messaging them twice per month. We effectively have over 100 touches every single year with every single lead. okay? And what that gives us is the ability to have a foundation in our marketing systems, in our business, so that we're not guessing where our next deal is going to come from. Remember when I made that list of traffic? Now I get to say to Hermela, now I get to say to you, well, Drew, you're hosting open houses. Cool. How are people signing up for these open houses? They write on a paper. No more. Scan the QR code. And are you working with an agent? No, I'm not. Cool. Let me send you my home buyer's guide. Now they go through the process, right? I meet someone at a networking event, and we have virtual cards nowadays, right? Yeah, let's exchange contact info. By the way, you're thinking about selling your house or you know somebody, here, let me send them my seller's guide. Let me send them my buyer's guide. Because I thought about this from the process of how I was treated end to end the one time that I stayed at the Four Seasons. They called me to confirm my appointment. I arrived. They gave me a cookie. I love cookies, right? We talked about cookies earlier. And then I thought of the process of, if I show up to my friend's house, and they say, Michael, there's the fridge. Go cook yourself, do whatever you want. What's the likelihood of us doing that? It's slim. But if they say, here's a fresh plate of cookies, here's a glass of milk, are you going to turn that down? Probably not, right? So we lead with the giving hand. And what this gives us the opportunity to do is to do just that. Now, I want to explain something to each and every single person here because we're talking about lead generation, and I want to make sure that we clarify some things. I still got some time, yeah? Just to demystify the whole lead generation thing online, because it's important for you guys to understand this. That's a pretty good triangle. 3% of the time, leads are going to convert within 0 days to 30 days, okay? This is any lead. These are the ones that we're all chasing, by the way, okay? Then we have 17% of the time, these leads are going to convert between 31 days up to 180 days. How many of you have had somebody convert in about 6 months or so? Kind of annoying, but you have to do it. It's part of the job, right? So then we have somebody that converts the 20%, which typically converts between 180 days to 365 plus days. Anyone here had to work a lead over a year? Yeah? Okay. And then there's the astounding 60%, which is where my mom was, where I was when I got started in this industry. We don't know what we don't know, okay? And these people typically take 2 years to convert. Have you worked with somebody that took over 2 years to convert, right? This is the ugly truth about making sure that lead generation works for you. And the reason why I talk nowadays about building a marketing system, building a marketing funnel, building your sales systems and your operations is because most of us, again, confuse activity for progress. So I would challenge you guys to go back and see where you've gotten the most leads in your business. Maybe it's been through video, maybe it's been through social media, maybe it's been through open houses, and understand what kind of a process can I take in order to take this traffic channel to offer value with a lead magnet, okay? And then use that in that process so I can get them into my CRM, email them consistently, text message consistently, and then I can go ahead and think and leverage social media in order to stay in front of them 24/7, 365, okay? That's how you build a top producer operating system. That's how the biggest players in the space are doing it. And you guys, again, can do it for yourselves. I want to thank you so much for having me, man. Let me add something there. I have a client, Candace. She's been working with me since September of last year. We sent out an email to clients just like that, people that just never took action, and also her past clients. And all we said was, hey, Jackie, I have room to help 5 more people buy or sell a house in the next 3 months. Is there someone that you can think of that I should be connecting with? I would appreciate an introduction. And she was like, oh, no, I don't want to be that blatant about asking for business. She ended up, out of 390 emails, she ended up with 18 referrals, okay? I think we could all use some of that. So there's still, even the 60% that never convert, there's still money in that. I have an agent that's been haphazardly working with me for the past 5 years. Religiously, she sends me 3 referrals every single month just because I still answer questions. And at the end of the day, I think we're creating opportunities for ourselves as much as we're creating opportunities for other people. So you just continue showing up for your database no matter what, and they're going to pay you back, but you have to be willing to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. That was awesome.
Absolutely, thank you.